everyone, SG here, and before I start the video, I first off want to say, I'm not going to do the animation of it anymore because I'm way too tired and it's a lot complicated than I expected to be. So I looked up online and I noticed I could just tell the story, and I did. So from now on, I'm going to be telling stories as my character. I hope you like it. Enjoy the video. Started before I was born. My parents were expecting me, but when it was a month away to my due date, I was dying, and my parents couldn't do anything. They tried everything to help, but there was nothing. They tried doctor appointments and any medical treatment. They had to do major scans to make sure that I tried to stay healthy, but they didn't work. Till one day, a strange man came to our home and said that he could save me, but under one condition. My parents didn't care, so they let him do it. He said it was a prototype and he wasn't sure if it was complete, but they didn't care, and he used it on me while I was still in my mother's stomach. A month later, I was born into a healthy baby. The serum worked and my parents were very happy. The doctors were surprised seeing me healthy and breathing. They ran tests on me to make sure of that, and they said it was perfectly normal, but my blood type was very different compared to the other bloods. But they didn't care. As time grew, I was a clumsy baby, and I always get hurt somehow. But after a few minutes, or maybe a second or two, they all just heal up. All my marks and scratches, they just disappear like nothing ever happened. My parents were very surprised and relieved that I can be okay. 2 years have passed, and I became 4 years old. I was very happy, and my parents were too, until the man came back, and he wasn't alone. The man wanted his property back, and my parents were shocked and very surprised to see him again after so long. I was scared and afraid of what will happen. My father asked him why he called me his property and why he had to take me. The man was apparently a scientist and a leader in his lab. He uses experiments for many things that can be useful for people and save people from danger. The serum that he used on me at least, one was part of it. And as you can see, it became perfect, but he's not sure if it's perfect enough to be used. So he used it on me anyway. Apparently the serum is a medicine that can heal people from any wound, like a gunshot to the heart. And it cannot be killed, but from any kind of disease, like cancer. He used it as only one on me, since I was dying anyway, yet I wasn't even born. Yet it worked, and because of that, his deal was to take me for some experiments to see how well the serum can work. My parents weren't happy, and my father begged him not to take me, but he didn't care. So my parents tried to run away from the man. But one of his men attacked and shot my mother in the heart and made her pass away in a matter of seconds. My father was shocked, and I was afraid. Father held on to me and told the man to go to freaking off. I I was surprised to hear that from Dad, and so was the man, because he usually never cusses around. That's what it sounded like to me, and I won't say those words. He called him a murderer. Eventually, he told one of his men to grab Zuri and my father apart. I was so scared I didn't want to leave. Same with my dad. He started, but then he stared at me. Then, then my mother's dead corpse, and shed many tears. And the man said, "No matter what you do or say, I will not lose my property from a parent like you." I froze with many tears falling down my face, while my father gets full rage in his eyes. The man just smiled with the calmed eyes. Then one of his men that held him had a pocket knife against, and he used it on the edge of my father's neck, slicing it off. While the other guy of his men tried to take me away, I screamed and begged for my father to save me. But by the time the man was to leave, he snapped his fingers, and he just killed my dad, just like that. I screamed in fear, and many tears dripping down my face. Next thing I knew, I blacked out, and I haven't seen them since. By the time I woke up, I was in a dark, empty cell with no windows, covered in long chains, long enough for me to walk around, in my wrist, ankles, including my neck. The cell was completely dark. I couldn't even see the chains around me. The only thing I can't see was the tiny bit of light of line underneath a metal door. I was afraid of the dark because I thought there was a monster coming to get me. Now there will be waiting for me. An hour later, I was so cold and still scared until the shadows of someone's feet in front of someone's door. I backed away until I was hitting against the wall. It was the man that killed my family, and he only came to give me food. I was so scared, but I was hungry as well. On the plate was the bread, water, and a dirty apple. The man just said, "Enjoy it while it lasts, 'cause it's the only good meal you'll only get for now." The man walked away with a small smile while he shuts the door. I ate the meal he gave me and barely enjoyed it. I wanted to say something to him, but I didn't know what to say. And I didn't speak at all because I'm scared of the experience they're going to do to me. As time came by, I became 10 and gained many scars that the experience caused apparently. But they all fade away after an hour. Over time, I've been losing most of my feelings, all except fear, anger, and sadness. I barely show it when the experiments are over, and all I do is just cry for a sec with an empty face. There was one scar I couldn't heal. One experiment was very dead for themselves and mine. They grabbed hold of me, so I couldn't move. But I kept struggling until one of the scientists kept my head straight. and my right eye wide open. Then he held the needle straight into my right eye and started injecting me with something toxic. I couldn't stop screaming in pain for a whole hour. They wrapped my eye when I was passed out. My eye couldn't heal since, but it gave me another reason to blame the man who took me here. Black ink suddenly dripped down from my wounded eye, and I couldn't stop it in 2 days straight. I got used to it, including its pain. I felt. One day, I went inside a big white room with clear see-through glass where myself and the other scientists can see me, and I can see them. But this time, their leader came to see how much I've improved and grown. We haven't seen each other since that day. Since he came to see me, I grew furious the moment I noticed him. When he walked in the big room and broke off the chains. By the time they did, I wanted to break out of the room and kill the leader myself. But I know I couldn't. I waited to see what was going to happen. Because I knew that time, the moment I stepped in that room, is going to be my next experiment. Eventually, they left me a bucket of raw meat, and I didn't understand why they left that for me. I turned to the scientists. They were holding clipboards to take notes for me. The leader had no clipboard and was just watching me with his arms folded behind his back. I turned back to the bucket and I tilted my head for a second, until my stomach started to growl. And I knew then I was hungry. They made me not eat in 2.5 weeks. I looked at the meat and my mouth started watering, and I realized what they wanted me to do. Eventually, I saw the leader giving me a small grin on his face. The scientists were already starting to take notes on what I'm doing. And then I dug my hand in the bucket for a split second, and my whole hand was just dripping down to my elbow. It made me feel hungry. I licked the blood off for a taste. And then in a split second, I took a bite of one of the meats, and I enjoyed it a lot. I ate the meat in minutes like an animal. The scientists were very shocked and frightened. The leader was impressed with an evil grin. While I was eating, I somehow grew wolf ears and tails. The scientists were even more shocked than before. Leader was glad for some reason. Looks like the last experiment finally kicked in her body system. That's what he said. Apparently, they injected the needle in my eye. Well, when? It was a wolf DNA sample, and it somehow made me grow with them. I didn't understand, but I still felt hungry. The leader knows that as well. He has gone curious about my appetite, and he looked at one of his workers. Perhaps we should give her a new meal that's also meat. The scientists were confused on what he meant. Then suddenly, he grabbed one of his workers and threw him in the lab cell where I was in, and then locked the door. The worker got on his knees and noticed what he was in, and he was already afraid. I was glaring at the worker with my good eye, and I still felt hungry, licking the blood around my mouth, kneeling down like a wolf stalking its prey. My eye looked dead and hungry at the same time. I pounced at the worker but I missed. The worker banged on the window, begging them to open the door. But the leader just watched them. But the other workers wanted to get him out. The worker kept trying to dodge me, but then he was slow in the end. I bit him his arm so much, so hard, that a bone nearly broke into apart. The worker screamed in pain until the guards came and shocked me directly on my spine. I kneeled in pain for a sec and was a little paralyzed. As I snapped to attention, I noticed that the worker got out of the room. It was already closed by then. The worker was sent to the infirmary while the leader gave himself a grin. Very interesting. That's what he just said. I banged on the glass window with my bloody hands while I glared at him with my dead eyes. They put me back in my cell, and I gained my new appetite in my stomach. And they gave me a new meal. Human meat. And now I am definitely not going to be what I used to be. A human.
Hey everyone, it's me again. Sorry for my bad voice acting. I'm not that good. Anyway, as I already said, I'm not going to do the video. And in case some of you are wondering, I am going to keep telling the story. It's not over yet, so don't worry. For now, it's going to be to be continued. I'm still working on the story for her. It's a little complicated as well. But just like that, yeah. Till next time, bye.